should be, which is one of the basic flaws in the system. It doesn't always work that way. Sometimes when they, create new money and credit, interest rates actually go up. Instead of down. No, it'll be devastating when the rates go up. That'll be in the midst of the crisis. When you start seeing, if you see a 10-year Treasury bill at 3 something, if you see it at 5%, a 1.5% jump from where it is, boy, I would think that there's going to be, it could excite the rapid exit from the dollar. And because it wouldn't be so much that, oh, this is great, I'm making more money from my treasury bills, as much as nobody wants our treasury bills. So, and then there, the 1% increase in the interest rates, I don't know the number offhand, but 1% increase in the interest rates for the national debt raises the national, expenditure enormously, and that's out of control of legislation. And when you get to that point where even the Fed can't lower the interest rates, then we're in big trouble. I guess maybe then they'll turn on the printing presses and just print the money. He asked about, could the gold not be there in Fort Knox, and should we check on that? And I said, yeah, I think we should. The audit bill said a full audit of the Federal Reserve, and since they list that as an asset, that would have meant that we could look at the gold. But you could go to Fort Knox, and they might show you a lot of gold, but that wouldn't describe the swap arrangements, the agreements, and whether they've loaned the gold out, and all the things that they have done. And I think the gold is in 4 different places. I think there's some in upstate New York, West Point. I think it's in New York, and in Denver, as well as in Fort Knox. So a true audit is not easy. I remember, and Lou will probably recall this, because when we had the Gold Commission in the early 80s, I forced a vote in the commission to go on record for auditing the gold, and I think the vote was 15-1 against auditing the gold. They'll claim there is an audit going on every year. They count a little bit and all. But no, I think that would be very important to know. The one thing that I have in the past and will continue to, I press them on is, gold is not money. It's not important. Of course, the richer countries and those who are getting richer, they're buying up the gold, like China and the people in the East. They're buying it, and the West is selling the gold. So, I've said to them, I said, if gold is not money, why don't you just return it to the people? Let the people let everybody go on their own gold standard. And my idea, of course, the solution of this is just allowing competition and freedom, and making sure that gold and silver coinage never has sales taxes or capital gains taxes, and it's legal to transact in it. I think that would take care of the problem. Did you hear it? Well, I don't think that is likely to happen, but maybe the best we can do is read Greenspan's speech, his article that he wrote for Ayn Rand, which would be pretty good too. So, strengthen the door. Federal dollars to strengthen the borders. It's a legitimate expenditure, under the Constitution to protect our borders. I don't think just spending more money per se is going to be an automatic. I think so much else has to change. We have to reject our welfare state. We have to, it would be much better if we could, because if you had fences and everything else, they'll still come in if there's an incentive. So we should reject our welfare state, both domestically and at the moment, anybody who comes in not qualify for any handouts, free school or free education. free medical care. But ultimately, they wouldn't be. The immigration problem wouldn't be nearly as big if we had a healthy, thriving economy. The resentment comes because people say, "Hey, they're stealing our jobs," and they have to blame somebody. So I think we have to have a free market economy. There's so many other things, no benefits, and but there's a legitimate expenditure if you want to spend money on the borders. But I think the money is there. I think it's these other policies that are more important than just beefing up the borders. But the borders, living in Texas, we hear about and know about what it's like down on that border. And it's getting worse and worse. But I would say 90% of that has nothing to do with some poor Mexican wanting to survive by coming up here. 90% of it is due to that drug war that ought to be ended. That's where the trouble comes from. I think I basically answered that question. Yeah. If you have a problem, declare war. Under war conditions, they can undermine our civil liberties, and that's what they do, no matter whether it's a war against illiteracy or a war against drugs or wars overseas. That's when you're supposed to compromise and give up your freedoms. We don't need the war on drugs. We need education. We need education. I do consider drugs very, very dangerous. I consider alcohol very, very dangerous. I consider prescription drugs very, very dangerous and psychotropic drugs very dangerous. But I also assume that the responsibility falls on the individuals, the families, and the local community and the churches. She's talking about what has 20%? You want 20%? I wouldn't want to tax the American people, raise their taxes by 20%. If you have money in your pocket and you've earned it and your life is your own, the money you earn is your own, and you have a moral right to spend it any way you want. And if a poor person can't pay $100 for shoes and he can pay $10 for shoes and he can buy them from China, he should buy them from China. And but our problems are much more complex than that, just buying goods cheap from China. It's that we don't have a work ethic. We borrow, we're consumerists, and we have the benefit of the reserve currency. We get to print the money and spend it overseas, and that money comes back and it feeds back into our economy. It's that system that has been so bad and encourages jobs to go overseas. Our export, we have a great export, and it's money, dollars, and they're still taking them as long as they will. Believe me, the jobs are going to go overseas. But getting cheap products from overseas is not that bad, even if they subsidize. Let's say it costs them $50 to make an item, and they're going to sell them to us for $25. Well, that's $25 you can stick in your pocket and spend it on something else. So an import tax is a tax on the people. Most of the time it's a tax on the poor people. One more question. Oh, we'll go over there.